Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.
Thank you for joining me. This is Katie Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how to survive the beauty industry. If you have young stylists, brand new to the industry stylists in your life, you have to share today's episode with them. We're going to real and raw, and that's because we have the one and only Wesley Palmer here today. He is a Houston native. He's been doing hair for 16 years. He specializes and lived in blondes, hair cutting, hair painting, and platinums. He's a world traveling educator for almost every major brand. You're going to hear about his story today. And he started his career as the one to do the original 10, who put pulp right on the map. He's traveled the world with TG, Bedhead, and so on and so forth. You're going to hear all about that today. He figured out social media is not just a benefit for himself, but also for brands, how to make six figures, why being healthy is so important if you want to survive. We're like, literally, there are no boundaries for today's conversation. And that's why he's here today, because he's willing to go there. So without further ado, help me welcome Wesley Palmer. Welcome to Beyond the Technique.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. So when I got to meet you in Orlando and we talked about this, I wanted to jump on it because I love sharing and I love helping. And I think these real conversations are so important for everybody to have.
They are important. And the pleasure is mine because you are so busy and in demand and sought after. So thank you for coming and being with me today. We have a lot of loyal listeners, and I know the pain that owners are feeling right now when they invest so much in their new talent and then new talent's not surviving. So we're going to get into what's happening in our industry and why we're seeing a massive amount of people just starting and stopping. But before we do, I want to know what got you into hair 16 years ago. Like, why did you choose this path? Because I mean, you're not 20 years old. So what
No.
with you? What happened? Tell me what happened.
I mean, honestly, I think I have a similar story to a lot of people, but not identical, because we all have our own paths and our own journeys of how we got here, right? I had a struggle. This journey was not easy. I've been through so much, stuff that a lot of people don't even know about unless you've been to a couple of my classes. Not a lot of people know about all the stuff that's happened to me. But originally, before I even got into hair, I was playing tennis, and which most people don't even believe, but I was trying to go pro in tennis, and I played in a really awful punk band. And our drummer went to...
That I could see. I would have guessed wrestling, not tennis, but okay.
Yeah, we played little house stuff. It was nothing crazy, but it was during the MySpace era. And our drummer went to jail, and then I just got tired of college. And so I went to my mom. I was like, hey, I'm over this. I don't want to go to school anymore. And she's like, what are you going to do? It's like, I don't know. And the guy who had been cutting my hair since I was 13, who's a mentor of mine, his name is Joshua Bernard. He's an incredible guy, incredible mentor. And he means the world to me. He got me into hair that night. I went to dinner with him, and they taught me into hair school. And I used to travel with him when I was younger, early high school. And I'd travel to Texas and go do hair shows with him because he's basically Farouk's stepdad who owns Chi. And I didn't really know that at the time, being that young, I didn't really know what that meant. And that day I called my mom. I was like, what about hair school? She was like, do you know anything about hair? I was like, no. I was like, I know what the cheap flat iron is. I was like, yeah, I had a little emo hair with my bangs going that way. So I was like, how hard could it be? And sure enough, it was the hardest thing I'd ever put myself through in my life. And that's why I'm always so protective of hairstylists and defensive when people say that this is not a real job, that, oh, it must be nice to do what you do for a living. So I'm very protective of hairstylists because we go through a lot and we deal with a lot. And if you don't do hair, you don't understand what the hell like that we deal with.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting that you had this guy you looked up to, and now you're a guy people can look up to. I feel like so many young pros wanting to enter this may not have that.
Yeah.
So this was a pivotal relationship in your life. And so once you got started and you didn't know shit about doing hair, what made you fall in love with it where you're like, "Oh, I know that this is where I'm supposed to be."
Well, I actually had to go to school twice. So I went to school for 1,000 hours and I dropped out. Like I hated hair. I was like, this sucks. It's not for me. Like I'm not meant to do hair. Like I made a wrong decision. Sorry, mom. And I worked retail for a year. And then a year later, the admissions leader from Paul Mitchell came in. His name was Todd Wise. So a really close friend of mine still today. He walked in and I'll never forget I was selling him bathing suit shorts. And I actually got to share this story at his salon in Houston. And he was asking me because he remembered talking to me on the phone and he asked me about like what's going on. Are you in a salon? I was like, nah, bro, I quit. He's like, what do you mean you quit? I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, hair's not for me. I'm not cut out for it. And he was like, why don't you come take a tour of the school? And I was like, bro, just buy your bathing suit shorts. Let's call it a day. We tried. I was like, maybe I'll get into construction. I don't know. And he was like, come take a tour of the school. And I did. And I remember walking in and it was just like, there's an energy about this place I'd never felt before. Everybody was having fun. Everybody looked cool. Almost like I could breathe for the first time, if that kind of makes sense. And I looked at him. I was like, yeah, like, okay, let's do this again. And they asked me like, do you want to transfer your hours because you could transfer like 500? And I was like, no, let me start over. I want to get the full experience. So I went to school again. I didn't transfer any hours. I did another 1,500 hours on top of that 1,000 hours, and I graduated in 10 months at the top of the school.
Wow, good for you. So once it
Yeah,
was go time, it's almost like once you found that match, right? And once you found your people, it was go time and there was no looking back.
it is. It's, like, that's just how I am personally, like as a person. Like if I don't want to half-ass something, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it and I want to be the best at it. And I know there's always gonna be people better, but I'm gonna do it to the best of me. So the only person I'm ever in competition with is myself. Like I just want to be a better version of me than I was yesterday. So I'm constantly doing things to try and improve myself to be better.
So when you were finished with beauty school, did you end up going and working with Todd at his salon, or what was your journey at that point?
No. So here's like the wild thing. So the owners of the school, right? They owned the Paul Mitchell School at the time. Everybody wanted to work at their salon, and I ended up getting hiring because I shadowed for like 3 months. I went up there and just worked for free and like handed towels, swept. I just showed up, and then I worked there for about 2 years. But at that time, like what I was noticing is I felt like I was really being taken advantage of because in their salon, I was the first person that they said that had reached like commission level that fast and had pulled in that many new clients. And the reason why I had done that is because in my past, when I was in school, I was doing club promoting. So I was trying to grind. I would throw parties and help like fill up clubs and stuff like that. And I used that kind of method to pull in my clients. So my first round of clients were a lot of like bar industry people. And I won't say that I'm not grateful for that salon because the way that I cut hair and my precision and all that stuff it really is because of them. And I learned a lot from them. But when I quit, they sued me. I had to go to trial. Like, I don't remember how long it lasted, but like, it was so awful. And I'll never forget, like, when I left that salon, and this is what I haven't told a lot of people. So I feel like people might be able to relate to this, even though we live in a nicer time than back then. But when I quit, I'll never forget that she told me, she was like, you suck. She's like, you're awful. You're a joke. She said this in trial too. Um, she was like, you're never going to be on stage with us. You're never going to be on stage with them, meaning who I'm with now. And I had this person that was like, I looked up to so much. Like, she was so incredible. She's so talented. And to like have that person that means like that much to you, like talk to you like that and just say that everything that about you is a joke and you're never going to make it was heartbreaking to hear. And like at this time, I'm early 20s. So like to hear someone that you look up to at early 20s can be like devastating. And so I left and I ended up winning the case. But I went and worked for myself in this like little tiny Harry Potter closet. Like there was barely enough room for like my elbows in there. And it was the most depressing time of my life. So 2 years in, I went to 2 years and by myself. I had nobody to help me. And it was just I was like having my burnout moment where I wanted to quit. And so I told my mom like I didn't want to do this anymore. And she was like, well, maybe you need a change of scenery. And so I reached out to a mentor of mine. His name's Chad Clark. He used to be really known in the industry, and then he's just taken a break. But he was one of the directors at Sassoon. He was an instructor there. Like he's an incredible hair cutter. He convinced me to move to West Hollywood. So I moved into West Hollywood with a guy by the name of Mitchell Cantrell. And I had no idea who he was, but he's working on like textured celebrities now. Like he's a rock star. And we were these two kids moved into West Hollywood. And that's when Instagram started. I had no idea what it was. And he was like, you got to get on this. And I was like, what is it? He was like, it's Instagram. I was like, I know, but like, what do you do? It's like, take pictures. I was like, of what? Of hair? I was like, I don't have any clients. I was like, what do you mean? And so I would pull people off the streets. I would bring them into this like really shitty apartment, drape t-shirts around their neck, do haircuts. I was living off food stamps. And then eventually my mom, like, she was like, you have to come back home after about 4 months because I had gotten so broke that I had to move home. So I moved back to Houston and worked at a salon in downtown Houston. And then that was the start of like where I am today was when I made that move, which is that journey is wild too.
So, did you start working for a brand at that point, or tell me what happened next?
No,
I feel
because
like I'm
that's like
watching this as a movie, by the way. When I listen to you, I'm like visualizing everything as a movie.
everyone has told me I need to write a book about this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So at that moment, I probably had 1,000 followers on Instagram, and I was like, "Fuck! Like I'm killing it. Got 1,000 people.
Shit,
Like,
a lot of people think if they had 1,000, they'd be killing it. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, I know." I was like, talk to my salon, like, "Don't talk to me. I got 1,000 followers. Leave me alone. Don't tell me how to balayage." And I remember they all gave me shit about it, and they're like, "Why would you use social media? Why do you got to do that? My work speaks for itself." And I was like, "Cool, y'all do you. I'm gonna keep doing me. I don't give a shit. Don't get mad at me because I'm trying to do something." And during that era, they used to make fun of me because I was trying to get my name known in Houston. So the only way I knew how to get myself out there was doing free hair. I was like, let me connect with photographers, makeup artists, designers, bands. So what I did is I developed a team of like 6 people. We called it Team Styles, and we showed up to runway shows, Fashion Houston. We did hair for music videos and all this stuff, and I did it all for free for about a year and a half, and it really built my brand in Houston. I was like, I wanted to be known, so that's what I only way I knew how to do it. And at that time, I was still building Instagram, but I didn't really have a grasp on it. So then what happened is I started just making funny videos of me and my friend at the salon. Like we were just goofing off, and I saw the numbers start growing. I was like, okay, interesting. People they like this, so let me explore this. I was like, let me try education. So then I started putting educational videos out there. And then what was happening is why mine went up so high is that while everybody on Instagram was taking photos, I was one of the first that started doing videos. But where I feel like my downfall was, where a lot of people that grew a lot better, or not better, but grew faster at a faster rate, is they were targeting consumers like this, and I was targeting hairdressers. And then also, I was a little naive, and I didn't know you could buy followers then. So that was another thing. And that's one thing I always pride myself on is that my growth has always been authentic. So what follows me is real. And you can't say that about everybody else. And we all know like when somebody's bought followers and engagement, like you can tell, but um, I don't know, they can keep doing their thing. So it is what it is.
Let
Um,
me just point out that
yeah,
there's a couple things I've noticed, and you've been willing to be at rock bottom in order to work your way up. It's almost like you thrive as being seen as an underdog because then it's like,
yeah.
just watch me. And you just showed up to do free like work at the salon when you were younger and just handed out towel, do whatever, you just showed up, and then doing the free team styles. Like people aren't in a mindset like that anymore. And maybe they should rethink that. We'll get to that. So, okay.
Yeah, so
So,
that's a good point. Every little bit of my journey, it's like even my success behind the chair today of how I built like my dream clientele, I was doing free hair, so I can talk about all that too. Um, but what really got me to my first brand is that when I went to work at that first salon, and I don't know who does this, like something's wrong with me. I told him when he hired me, the day he hired me, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a 2 year heads up." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I'm gonna quit in 2 years." I was like, you can either help me open a salon or I'm going to leave. And in 2 years, he didn't. And I wanted to be man of my word. So I quit. And at that time, my cousin was doing men's hair. So we moved to a different side of town, completely restarted my clientele again. And we took over a salon suite and knocked down like 4 walls and made our own salon. And then I pitched the idea to him of, hey, let's start teaching in Houston. Like, do you want to just like make, and it was more so like, let's make more money. So we were teaching barbering. I was teaching all men's hair or short hair, I guess. And while we were going down this path, he went this way. He got married, and then I wanted to go that way. And so what I did is I reached out to a friend of mine because I wanted to be national artist. I was like, let me put this on my bio. If I leave Texas, I'm a national artist. So I was like, I need to go somewhere outside of Texas. And I reached out to two people. One, Phil does hair, and a guy that runs a page, Nothing But Pixies, Don. So me, Phil does hair, and Nothing But Pixies, the three of us, we started teaching. And I'll never forget. Oops, oh, I'm sorry.
you're good.
I'll never forget that the first class that we ever did, I showed up in Boston, and I don't remember who I was there, but if you remember, he's been canceled. But Hair God Zito was there and someone else, and they were doing a class. And at that time, he was very like high up in that Instagram world. Like everybody knew Ricky, and then he got canceled for just being inappropriate online. Um, but me and Don, we did this class, and I remember telling my ex-wife at the time, I was like, this class is going to go awesome, and I'm going to keep doing it, or it's going to be horrible, and I'll never do another one. And I had just gotten in a motorcycle wreck, and I was teaching balayage. So this arm was completely broken, and I had a cast on it, but I wasn't going to miss this class. I only had access to these two fingers, so I would pinch the hair, paint, put it on my cast, and use my cast as a paddle. And that's how I was able to teach that first class, and it went really well. And we did this for 2 years. And during this 2 years, I took that time to develop relationships with people. Each salon that we went to, I made sure that they knew who I was and we became friends, which led me to my first brand, which was Pulp Riot. And that all happened because I met these two people, Hair by KCO and Doug Theo. And we started traveling, and we used to call it Good Hair Days. And then a weird situation happened that I had to go to. Let's back it up. I got David Thurston's number and I bothered him for 2 years. And imagine being told no for 2 years. I asked him to do his old show, The Butterfly Circus, when that was going on. I was like, hey, can I come do Butterfly Circus? And he was like, who are you? I don't even know you. And how did you know my phone number? I was like, don't worry about it. We're here. So my no now, but Don gave me his phone number. And for 2 years, they told me no. And on that second year, he called me. I'll never forget. It was on New Year's Eve. And he was like, do you want to come do the show? And I was like, hell yeah. I want to come. He's like, awesome. You get to go on after Robert Cromings. I was like, what?
Wow.
I was like, no. I was like, nobody should go on after him. I was like, what are y'all talking about? I was like, okay. And so I go up to Los Angeles, and Casey was like, hey, I want you to come shoot with my friends. And I was like, sure, let's do it. And it ended up being the owners of Arctic Fox. And so that event, they wanted to dye my beard blue. So my first ever major event, I came with a blue beard. And that was my first interaction with Robert Cromings. And I remember we were walking up the stairs together to the butterfly lots, and he just like looks over at me and just shakes his head. And he was like, you're a pirate, huh? Just like me. And I was like, hell yeah, bro. And I just did one of those, and that solidified like our friendship. And the next day, they brought all the artists from that show. They're like, come back tomorrow. They had gallon jugs of color everywhere. They're like, we're starting a brand. It's called Pulp Riot. We want all y'all a part of it. We're gonna do hair shows. Do y'all want to like do this with us? And everyone's like, fuck yeah, like let's do this. And for the next 3 years, I did hair shows with them. And during that hair show circuit, I just went through and I made sure that I became friends with every single brand, every major artist, every icon in the industry. I wanted them to know who I was and I wanted to be their friend. And so that's kind of how that all started, which led me to here. And that's what led me to the BTC team. Mary, who owns it, obviously, she's a very powerful woman. And at that time, like she doesn't have time for somebody like me for conversation, even though she probably would have talked to me, but I didn't really know how to get in her good graces. And so I knew she had daughters. And this is not going to go in a weird way. But I befriended her youngest, Haley. And me and Haley became really close and good friends. And because of that moment, Haley got me in with her mom. And that got me on the BTC team, which then led me ultimately to working with Bedhead at TG. And so that was like my first like real big brand. Like that was a highlight of my career, was that moment right there. And I was so heartbroken when they sold that company and during COVID. And I kind of had to figure out what to do because a big part of my life is social media, like getting paid through social media. I wasn't busy behind the chair during this time. Like I had neglected all my clients. And it wasn't recently until this year that I had to like remember that these are the important people. Like I need to figure that out. So I have a cool method of how I was able to attract this clientele.
Okay, well, I do have to hear about that, but I do want to point out that every couple of years you kind of been put in this position to almost reinvent yourself, like Madonna has done, right? Like you have had either by your own choice or not by choice, but you've had to reinvent yourself. And what I'm noticing is every time you're actually kind of willing to take your past experiences and what worked and apply it, but you've also stretched yourself and thought, what is the new thing I need to do? So has this always just kind of been the way you roll, or like how did you just keep
Yeah.
success? By the way, most people would probably be burnt out. And we're gonna get to that. I keep saying we're gonna get to that. But yeah, I mean, tell me, like, how did you overcome all this?
So you're pretty spot on. So about I always joke around about like I should probably go to therapy for this, but every 2 to 3 years I shift something in my life. For Pulp Riot, it wasn't that I disliked anybody or the brand. It was just that I was here and I felt like I was at the roof of where I was going to be. And I don't want to ever be at a spot where I can't grow. Like I always want to keep growing. I think when you limit yourself and you stay right here, that's how you fall off. That's how you get burnt out. Like you have to keep growing. So when I quit Pulp Riot, I was the first person to quit. And I told myself when I was working with BTC, they gave me the option of two teams. And it was Matrix and TG. And so I told him, I was like, I want to be the worst person there. I was like, send me to where the best people are, and I want to be the worst one because I want to grow and I want to get better. And when I went with TG, it was just me and another artist named Joel Torres. And that's how I learned how to present. That's how I became from a mediocre colorist to a really good colorist. They taught me how to be patient, how to be clean. The family, the Muscolos, are like the most welcoming people in the world. Like that was a true family. So I was really heartbroken when that went down because COVID just kind of put a halt to that company. But that was like my favorite time in my career was working with those guys and those girls. They're incredible. Um, so that was one thing, trying to get bigger and better. But then when COVID happened and that year shut down, that's when I started working with Hanzo. So that's the scissor company. And the reason why I wanted to go with them is they were the first company to get back to working in open cities and states. And I wanted to start traveling again. So I had joined on. But I really need to figure out how to get like a color contract again. So like and y'all can use this, like anyone who's watching, they can try this too. So I sent a copy and paste message to every single brand except for who I'm with now. I went on my notes, typed it out, and I sent it to every single color brand in the United States. And like three of them hit me back up. And then I just put them in like a little bidding war with each other. So I was like, oh, this company is offering me this, even if they weren't. I mean, I knew they weren't going to talk to each other. But the weird thing and this is the wildest thing, is that Josh, the guy that got me into hair, this is where my life circled back. Josh came back into my life at this moment and said he started working with Farouk Systems because he's like, he's part of that world. He's like, you should come over here. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know about working with Chi. And then he goes, well, we just want to show you something. And this is when they came out with the Color Factory. And I was like, you know what? It's in Houston. Why not? So then I started working with Chi during this time. But what's awesome is that me and Josh got to work on stage together. And that was another highlight of my career. So the person that had been cutting my hair since I was 13, this guy that I've always looked up to, we were now working together as stage partners. And so it was like, it was such a beautiful thing.
Full
And
circle. Yeah.
that's where I'm just like, relationships are so important. You have to build relationships. And then the biggest thing is you can't burn bridges. If I would have burnt any of these bridges along the way, like I might have been fucked. Like I don't know anybody that could truly say a bad thing about me from another brand. So I've always left on good terms and been respectful to each brand. And then where I got to today, what truly pushed me into that next level is getting a management team. So I work with Social Art House, Marlene and Maria. And it's funny when the day that I like hired them, because I'm overly nice sometimes. And so when I hired them, I was like, hey, I need y'all to be like bitches. Like I need you to be mean. I was like, can y'all be the assholes for me? And like let me be the nice guy. You just go sick them, go get them. And she was like, yeah, she's like, we can do that for you. And through about a 2-year process, we were going through these different brands who were all fun to be with, but I never felt at home until like January. I got a call that Paul Mitchell was interested, and now I'm currently on with Paul Mitchell, with Lisa Giles and Janae, and the three of us are kind of breaking history with Paul Mitchell right now because this is kind of their first intro into the world of like social. So I'm so excited about this because this is another full circle moment. Started at Paul Mitchell.
Yes.
I'm going back, and now I get to teach at their biggest hair show in the world, like the Paul Mitchell Desert Bloom, and this is a true dream come true. And I'll never forget that the day this happened and everything was finalized. 'Cause it took like 4 months to finalize. I remember driving home and I sat down on my driveway and I was replaying my whole career in my head. I remember sitting in the driveway and I was like crying about it. Like I'm not a very emotional person, but like it was overwhelming to think that this took 16 years, like 16 years of my life it took to get here. And that's where the big disconnect is for people that are just coming up. They think it's done overnight. They see all of us, they see you as a successful podcast, they see me on stage, and like it sometimes it happens where these kids blow up overnight, but for the most part, like it takes a long fucking time, and you have to like have a grit about you that you can't ever give up. And that's what really got me here is that I've never given up. I've always pushed forward. I've strategically built relationships, and that's why I'm with Paul Mitchell now. And this is the first time I've been with a company where I felt like content and happy. And I was like, I'm good. Like I don't need anything else in my life. Like this is my path. I'm back on path. So I just took a weird kind of like zigzag journey to get there. Because they have a much easier way. But I got to experience a lot of cool stuff. And
And they
none of
had
it
thrived. That opportunity that wouldn't have been available to you back then anyway. So it's like who
no.
you are now and what they're capable of offering now is in perfect alignment. So that's pretty cool.
It is, and like they're one of the most prestigious companies. Like they're the most like biggest household name of any company. Their education team is unreal. Like I truly, truly believe they have like the world's sickest artists. And I've always been such a fan of all their artists. And that's why I'm so excited to be a part of this because I'm getting to go back into another position where I'm surrounded by all these people who I feel are better than me. It means I get to grow even better. So I'm coming into this next chapter of my life and I'm just so excited about it. But
It takes time.
then it takes a lot of time and none of this was really handed to me and I could have given up so many different times. And it's funny, if I would have took all these different other routes, I may not have been here. But none of this was ever handed to me and I had to work so hard for it. Like people don't understand like what it was like flying in like Spirit, borrowing money from my mom's, maxing out credit cards, going on food stamps, sleeping in fucking basements, cars, um, being broke, getting divorced, missing funerals, birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, my birthday. missing the day that I was going to propose to my wife currently right now. Like there's so much I miss in life. I missed some of my animals passing away, not being able to be there. Like you have to give up so much to get here, but I'm grateful for all of it and it was all worth it. But you to get here, it's hard. And
Well,
I don't think people
let's
understand that.
officially now dive into like how to survive the beauty industry because you have a survival story and you've reinvented yourself so many times. There's many moments you could have just said, "Fuck this, I'm done." It's almost like the beauty industry chose you and wasn't going to let you go, even if you were like over it. So, I really appreciate you sharing your journey with us.
Of
But like,
course.
we are noticing that so many young pros are starting and stopping so quick. Why do you think that is? Is it just a matter of them not getting what they want fast enough?
I think it's the schools, to be honest. Um, I think there's a huge disconnect in our industry right now with the education system that's getting students to come up. Like when you and I went, education was very different. It's very strict, and that's why a lot of us have come out so successful. And then like what also happened during our era is that we get out of school, we go apprentice under like the best people we can find. There's a lack of that now. People in schools are lucky if they can even graduate and find a mentor. They're seeing people in suites or trying to go to suites. And so I think within the first 5 years, the majority of people that start quit. And I think it's because they didn't grow as fast as they thought they would because they had this expectation they were going to come out and make six figures, which we know is bullshit. It's not going to happen. Like every now and then, yes, somebody does it, but like you're not going to do that. So I think where people are missing the mark is that when they go to school, focus on at least getting through because we know it's shit, it's bullshit at school right now. Like it sucks. They need to come out. They need to find somebody to mentor, somebody they can grow with, at least apprentice something, and then that's when I think we can start seeing a shift in the industry. And I think that needs to be talked about more because right now it's like they all have these false hopes and they all want to be TikTok famous and Instagram famous. And like, that's what's wild to me is that I don't ever like saying that I have fame on Instagram or anything like that because at the end of the day, it's weird to me. I still have a problem when I go to hair shows and people come up and know who I am because I don't see that myself sometimes. I'm just a normal person. And so sometimes my wife has to remind me, she was like, you are a big deal. Like, people do know who you are. She's like, stop acting like nobody knows who you are. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I do hair at the end of the day, just like everybody else. But what happened to me is I figured out social media and I love to share and I love to help people. So I'm getting better about that. I'm giving myself little pep talks in the morning.
Well, for everybody who's listening, you have to also share the video of today's conversation. We're on YouTube. We have the link in our show notes. I also have Wes Does Hair. That's his Instagram handle. We have that in our show notes. If you're watching the show, you can see his handle right behind him on the video. So, like if you are for some reason living under a rock and you are not already following Wes, you should. And
Thank
it's
you.
very valuable, especially young stylists, because you do have a message for young stylists. And it's also to really commit to what kind of lifestyle, like health wise, is going to set them up for success. What's your opinion on that?
So I'll tell you, and I don't think everybody has to follow like my path, but what's truly helped me the most in the last year was getting sober. We work in an industry that is based around party, and like if you go to hair shows, it is a shit show. Everybody's fucked up. And that's just a norm in our industry. Drugs are a norm in our industry. Alcohol is a norm in our industry. Hairstylists are the life of the party. We're known for that. And when I started taking care of myself, that's when all this like magical stuff started happening. Not only when I got sober did Paul Mitchell happen, but then my clientele skyrocketed. And it's interesting that work in an industry where a lot of hairstylists don't take care of themselves. You're seeing a lot of it because they aren't prioritizing eating during work. We're chugging energy drinks the whole time. And what happens is we're getting so booked that we don't eat the entire day. We go home and we binge eat and we party on the weekends. And so I've been trying to show on my page a different side of me, like a healthier lifestyle, because we need longevity behind the chair. And if you're healthy, it reflects on everything. Like I feel like when you become healthy, the type of clients you attract will also reflect that as well. And I feel like that started getting me more money clients. And not that I'm saying like any of my clients are out of shape or not healthy or stuff like that, but when I started taking care of myself and being the best version of me, I noticed a shift in everything in my life, like my relationship, my marriage, my clients, my brand deals, everything's lining up. So that's why I was like, people are asking, like, would you ever go drink again? I was like, I don't think so, because since I've stopped, nothing but good things have happened. And we all just need to take better care of ourselves and get rid of that stigma in the industry. Like, we need to be healthier.
Yeah, I love that you've made that decision, and I'm with you on that. I've been sober since September 3rd, 2022.
If I could high five you, I would. Good job. I'm
Yeah.
proud of us.
I'm proud of us too. And it really is such a game changer. Like what I think is cool and fun and awesome is different now. And that you can be the life of the party in a different way. Cause now my party's at the gym and I have a community there. And like you said, I think the mental clarity is what we should also talk about because when you do drugs and you drink, that's fine, but it's also literally a little bit poisonous to the body, right? So you are not showing up even to your fullest potential. So how do you feel like that's affecting the technical aspect of your work?
So I can definitely speak on this just because of what I've heard from friends of mine. And like, I'm lucky that I have friends that are very supportive and honest. If somebody's not willing to be honest with you, then you shouldn't have them in your life. And so I'm very fortunate for that. And when I got sober, some of the friends that I travel with, they were the ones that brought it up, and they were saying they're like they noticed a completely different side of how I was teaching in classes. They're like your sharpness is different. You're more witty. You're able to like connect faster. They're like everything that you're thinking is coming out so much more clear. And they're like, not that you were doing a bad job, like you were doing a great job, but now you're like teaching on a completely different level. And they're like, we just want to let you know that we've noticed it. And
Mm.
I thought that was really cool to hear that because sometimes like we always just think we're fine, right? And I didn't know that. I thought I was fine. I was like, you know what? I'm just drinking on the weekends. It's not a big deal. But I didn't realize that it was holding me back. And it took, I guess, I don't know, just one day I decided to quit, but then hearing it from other people, that's what made me realize like, okay, like maybe there was a problem there. And I needed to work on that. And I'm so glad that I did because it's changed my entire life.
To summarize for pros out there who are not willing to maybe stick it out, if you're going to survive this industry, number one, you have to give it time and you have to have that grit to do whatever it takes. And sometimes it means putting yourself out there and doing things for free. Number two, living a healthy life, because if you can't show up as the best version, you're not going to do the best work that you could possibly do or attract, as you say, the best people. What would be kind of a third tip for stylists listening who have been in the industry that less than 5 years who are kind of like on the fence right now?
So the biggest thing, like if you're having a burnout moment, I always tell like you have to find a mentor. But if you can't find a mentor, the first thing that I would recommend is going to classes. Like there's so many good classes around, and there's a lot of incredible artists out there that are teaching. So going to a class or going to a hair show can completely re-inspire you. So if you're having a burnout moment, like start going back to that kind of stuff because if you're not receiving it at home, you have to figure out a way to do it. um the number one thing I see with hairdressers is as they get older, like you can always tell the ones that start becoming unhappy and hateful in this industry because they stopped learning, they stopped caring, they're still doing the same work they are today they did in 1990. And it's not a knock on anybody's work, it's just that they become uninspired and they you have to constantly keep learning. Like I am humble enough of a person to know that I'm not the best and I can always get better. So I don't care if it's somebody's day one in beauty school that could show me something. I don't care if it's somebody that's their final word on their deathbed. I don't care if you can teach me something. I want to know it because I truly want to get better. And the only way to get better is if you're open to having people coach you. And I think people need to learn not to take criticism as like a negative thing, but try and shift their mindset as like, hey, you're getting this knowledge from somebody that knows something you don't. And if you truly take it and apply it, like you can be such a stronger version of yourself and become like so dangerous in this industry. And that's how you get above. That's how you get ahead.
Man, that was good. There's just like so many things I love it, Wes. Thank you so much. Okay, so what would be some final words of encouragement for anybody listening today, no matter what role they play in this industry?
First and foremost, get on social media. You have to. We live in a world that's not going away. You have to get on there, whether you like it or not. Just fucking get on it. That's the first thing. Second is show up always being the best version of yourself, because I don't know, it's you don't we don't get a second impression with people, so that you have to be on at all times. So always show up your best. Try to get healthy. Um, find clients in your world that make you happy. You have to find that, because if you're stressed out behind the chair all the time, that's going to wear you out too. So you have to kind of figure out your niche of what you love to do behind the chair, and that's just going to come take time with playing around. If you want to get with brands, you have to start showing education online. You have to. You need to be active on all platforms. If you want to go out and start being an artist like on the road, guess what? Make an Eventbrite and go teach one at a host salon at a class. It's that simple. Go do your thing. Go have fun. Just know it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to have a sold out class of 500 people. Like my first class had 7 people. So it's like, it just takes time. So enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, because eventually you're going to hit it. And 16 years ago, I wanted what I had today 16 years ago. And along that way, sometimes I forgot to enjoy that journey, but like I had such a fun time. Like, even though I had a lot of lows, I had an incredible time getting here. And that was an incredible 16-year journey. So enjoy the journey. Know it's going to happen. Just don't give up. A lot of people quit before they reach it, they give up before it's going to happen. If you truly believe it's going to happen, it will happen. You just have to believe that. Voice everything you want. If you want something in this industry, make sure everybody around you knows it. Tell the world. Like, don't be afraid to do that. Always be your authentic self. That's where you're going to find success in this world too, is don't copy somebody else's version of them, because you'll never be that person. Be you. People are going to love you or they're going to hate you no matter what. So it's like, just go ahead and be you. Life is short, right? Life is short. Who gives a shit about anything? Always be yourself. Um, I want to have fun for the rest of the time I'm on here, and I want to be unapologetically me. So if you love me, amazing. If you hate me, amazing. I don't really care. I have what I need in life to be happy. I know who I am, and I'm proud of myself for where I started, where I got, and I think that can help people out quite a bit. At least I hope it does.
I'm really curious, Wesley. Do you still do emo punk rock band? Like, do you still do anything with music?
No,
No, okay. It's okay. It's okay.
but
I'm just
I
curious.
did get compared to Uncle Laser the other day, and somebody
Yeah.
asked if I had played the harmonica. And I was like, no. I was like, I
Man.
don't play anything anymore. I still obviously listen to it. And one of the funniest things, wild, wild story, is that I was just in Naha in Orlando, and I wore like one of my punk rock vests. And there is a guy that was there that works at Purology Reach, and I had one of his old band's patch on my arm, and he came up to me. And he was the original founding member of the band, punk rock band called the Casualties, and he came up and took pictures with me, and now we're friends. But I was just like, it was wild that
The odds.
our
Yeah.
worlds collided.
Yeah.
Um, so people remember that too. This industry is extremely big, but it's extremely small,
Very,
and like
very, yeah.
everything has a way of kind of coming back into play. Um, and the last thing I want to leave too, like unless you have something else, is that the clientele. I have literally built my dream clientele of nothing but fitness influencers and athletes. And the way I did it is I reached out to 2 super popular girls in Houston that had huge followings, and not bot followings. Like, they had like hundreds of comments, tens to 50,000 likes on a post. I reached out to both of them. I was like, hey, can I do your hair for free? We live in such an expensive world that no one's going to say no to free hair. All I did is I said,
Brilliant. Yep.
yeah, I was like, let's do your hair for free. Here's the look. As we're working today, post me in your story 4 times, at least 4. After that, I need you to take a selfie with me. So I take selfies with all my clients because I get them to post them on their stories. That helps me bring in new clients. But then what I do is like, we're going to take a selfie, post it on your page for at least 24 to 48 hours. And if you want to take it off after that, take it off. And then that's how I've developed this whole like clientele of like, now I'm known as like the hairstylist for the fitness world in Houston. So I built an entire clientele of like all my dream clients in a matter of probably took me almost 4 months. And it's just 'cause I did two girls' hair for free. So don't ever be afraid to do that. Be afraid to reach out to people or ask for stuff because like people will say yes. And if you get told no, it's the worst thing that can happen. Just you can ask them again or ask somebody else.
Yeah. And I think this about you, like you just have never been afraid of rejection.
You can't be. Um, Not in this industry. If you're afraid of rejection, you're not going to make it because you have to ask. I still get told no all the time. Like I was literally at the grocery store and I saw this girl with beautiful hair. Now, mind you, I was in workout clothes. My mullet was down. I didn't look like a hairstylist, and I wasn't really paying attention to the age difference. And I was like, "You have beautiful hair. Can I do your hair?" And my wife's just looking at me. I was like, "What?" She was like, "That was creepy." And
Uh,
the girl goes, she told me no. And I was like, damn. I was like, why'd she say that? I was like, I do such a good job. She was
do you
like,
even
what?
know who I am? I'm
She was
kidding.
like, bro, she's like, you're in workout clothes and a mullet and tattooed, and you're asking this girl that. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, maybe I should have started with my Instagram. And she should
Yeah.
say here. But I get told no too. I'll DM big people on Instagram, and sometimes they read it and don't reply. Sometimes they never reply. So it's like, just don't be afraid of it. Like, send out 20 DMs to 20 people that have great followings. I promise you, at least one or two are going to hit you back up and let you do it. And if you can do one person's hair for free and bring in 3 to 4 new clients, and I don't really see a big deal on that. Like a lot of people say that they're like, well, what about product costs and all that? And I'm just like, okay, but what else are you doing through your day? Are you sitting at home? Are you doing nothing? Are you see all these people posting on social media? I have this opening, this opening, this opening. So one of the things I tell them too is don't post your availabilities. When someone says I have like 8 days open, to me that says you're not busy and you're not doing a good job. So instead of saying that, post one, be like, hey, I had a cancellation. Does anybody want this spot? And then sometimes is that going to hurt you? Yeah, it might, but we need to make people feel like they can't get in with us. And if
Yeah.
you can do that little shift, that helps out a lot. But if you are openly like, I'm available, I need y'all to come in, please, and you're like begging people to come in, they're not going to come in. They're going to be like, why is nobody going to see this person? So there's nothing wrong with lying online. As
Well,
long as it's not hurting
okay. So we
anybody.
had, this is great because we have like, you got to give your industry time. You got to have grit. You got to take good care of yourself. You got to have a mentor. You got to be coachable, and you
Yes.
have to do what others aren't willing or able to do. What you're talking about is how to be successful, not just survive, but thrive in this industry. And Wesley, I just like literally this could be like a 5-part series because you bring so many valuable
Thank
pieces of
you.
insight to every part of the piece of the puzzle. So thank you so much for being with me today. I feel like we need to do this again, and maybe next time it could be live and in person, like at some cool event. We could do like a live podcast on stage together.
Yeah, let's do another one. Anytime. Like I love this and I'm so glad that we met. Like now we're official friends. So if you ever want to, I would love to. And you're incredible. And I love what you're doing. And this is, I think the industry needs more of you and what you're doing for us. So thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you all
You're
for joining us
welcome.
here week after week. You are loyal, and I appreciate you so much. If you are new to listening to Beyond the Technique, thank you for being here today. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening so that more people like yourself will discover Beyond the Technique, where we are here to change the way that you are supported in your business. Until next time, have an awesome day and stay strong.